Hey George, how is it going?
Hey, all good. What about you?
Great, thank you. So yeah, George, thanks for joining the podcast today. I think it will be an interesting episode. So we are going to talk a bit more about you. So please present yourself and what you've done in the past, your experience.
Yeah, so my name is George. I'm founder of Happierleads. Happierleads is a B2B SaaS tool that helps you identify your anonymous website visitors. So just to say this in a very simplistic way, when someone comes to your website, you don't know who they are if they don't fill any form. What we do, we identify them and then we qualify them based on some criteria. And then we do also the engagement part. So we send email campaigns so we can re-engage with them and book more demos for you.
Great. So how did you get started with this company?
So we need to go a little bit back when before I start my entrepreneur journey. I had a background as a software engineer. I was doing this for 12 years before I started building my own company. At some point, when I was progressing from software engineer to team leadership and then CTO, I had this need of building something my own, and all my expertise, all of these years of building software, took me to this conclusion of I have to build something. And I was also loving marketing a lot because it was always something I wanted to do. I wanted always to build my own business. And I was also scraping this my knowledge around marketing, and I found that Clearbit was doing something similar to what we are doing,
Mhm.
and but it was not an affordable solution because it was costing 20,000 per annual subscription. And then I said, okay, we need to build something for the SME, and we start building. I actually everything started by myself. I was alone, just the number one employee in the company. I started building everything myself. As I said, I'm a software engineer, so it was very easy for me to start building the solution. And it was a very, very simplistic version where I was identifying the visitor and was showing this to a dashboard. And over the time, we collected the feedback. I started doing some hiring, and we end up in the conclusion where not, for you to see only the leads is not enough. So you have to also do the engagement part, because only seeing the analytic tools, they just it is a nice value. It gives you a nice value to understand your website traffic, but it's not valuable enough because there is no return of investment. So your ROI is only when you actually send those emails to these people and book them for appointment, and some of this appointment eventually will convert to revenue. So we started building the solution and enhancing the solution, and today we are in a position where with a click of a button, you install the tracking pixel. We buy domains for you. We buy mailboxes. We set up everything, and you don't have to do anything. And we send emails on autopilot to re-engage with those anonymous website visitors. So this is where we are today.
Interesting. So you mentioned that you find a gap in the market because you had a competitor that was expensive, 20,000 per year, and you wanted to sell to smaller companies and you wanted to be affordable for them. So what was the vision behind this? Why did you have this idea?
So initially it started, as you said, with the mind of, okay, let's build something cheaper, right? But it's this never have a good ending, right? When you start with the mindset of let's build something cheaper from my competitor, this is not always the good solution. So this is sometimes very good way to start something, but it's not a good way to get into the market permanently. So that was the initial thought. Okay, let's build something cheaper. By the time Clearbit was only identifying the website visitors, and what we then figure it out is, okay, now we don't want to only do exactly what they do because there is no point just to compete on price. So we said, okay, let's keep the price low, but let's add more value by engaging these visitors. So we built this engagement part that was the differentiator between us and the competitor. And it's even today, if I don't know if you know a lot about the landscape, there's a lot of businesses like RB2B, for example. I don't know if you have heard about them. They do this personal level identification. They are not even today still able to do the engagement themselves. So what they do, they identify and then they send all the data to different platforms. The problem with this is you have a lot of people that are not familiar with setting up all of this Zapier infrastructure. They don't know how to build up email campaigns. They don't know how to do DKIM, SPF, DMARC setup for email deliverability. There's a lot of setup and a lot of clutter even today. And then you don't have a lot of debugging, because if you send the data to another platform, let's say the other platform for any reason didn't send the emails, then you don't have a way to make this comparison. Okay, I identify this visitor, I want to see in the same UI that this guy was contacted. So this is missing when you offload to another platform. And first of all is complexity. The other thing is that you have to buy additional licenses. So for just doing one task, you now need to involve 3 or 4 different tools. You need email verifications, you need something to send the emails, you need something like Lemlist, you need something like Never Bounce for email verification, you need something like Clay to orchestrate everything together. And with Happierleads, what we built is one tool that does the whole job end to end, and you don't have to deal with anything else. So the way we think about this is, and this can work also for experienced teams, it's just that for us is the concept of isolate the whole task in one place. So imagine you have your cold outbound emails, that's fine, or you have your advertisements, you have a lot of different things that run in different places, and then you have Happierleads, that small piece of software that does end-to-end the whole identification, qualification, engagement. And you don't have to deal with any setup, you don't have to deal with all of this clutter. You can start even from the trial, and this is very important. When we have the trial, when you go and create your account, we have like a small wizard where we ask you a few questions about who is your ideal customer profile, and what exactly you do. And when you fill up this form, we buy domains for you from the very first moment, from the trial moment. You don't pay anything, and we buy you the domains, we buy you the mailboxes, we build you the email campaign using AI, and we start emailing these people from the trial. And that really helped us, because now our potential customers, they can see from the first few days of the trial, they can see replies instead of what it was before. Or if you use other tools like RB2B, for example, what is happening is you start seeing the results, but you don't actually see any replies, you don't actually send the emails, and then you are forced to buy the license, try this yourself and see if this works. So you have wasted already so much money, and maybe this doesn't even work for you. So the purpose of the trial for us is to show to our users that we are capable of bringing them back those lost leads, and they have nothing to lose.
Great, interesting. Okay, so it's getting interesting. So as a company, we are running cold Gmail. It's part of our services, and we do this for our clients too. And let's say that, okay, I'm a company, I'm running cold Gmail, I have a website, and I have ads on the site. How do you get into all of this and create an ecosystem that works to get more leads?
Yeah. So first of all, if you already have something that runs like a cold outreach, our recommendation is you can connect the two systems together. Let's say you use Lemlist, right? So you can connect Happierleads to identify the visitors and send all the leads to Lemlist. Because if you already have something there, you already have your copies, you already have your systems in place. So in that case, yes, it makes sense to use the same systems. Now, how this usually works and how people using it, let's just take a very specific example. Let's say you are a founder or someone in the marketing team, and you producing some content on LinkedIn. So let's say you build your content out there. A lot of people go to your website because they see your posts. Now, because they are on your website, they already know about you, they know what you offer. For some reason, they didn't convert, and there is a couple of reasons why they didn't convert. It could be because they were distracted. It could be because the website was not clear enough for them to explain the proposition. But there was an intent, and that is the very important. What we actually grabbing there is that these people saw something, they got the impression, they clicked on something. That impression could be also an advertisement, could be a social media SEO. They clicked on something, they went to the website, and then they didn't take an action. So this is where when we talked about the ecosystem, is you have the top of the funnel, the identification part. And then you have a qualification middle layer where we're doing this as well. We ask you to provide us with your ICP. So then we qualify those visitors, because not every visitor is qualified. Maybe they don't have the budget. Maybe they are in the wrong country. Maybe you don't target in this country. So we do this filtering, and then only the people that match the filtering, we send them an email. And this is the last part of the ecosystem and the user flow, where we actually engage with these people. And usually we ask them for two things. Either we ask them for book a demo, or we can send them to another lead magnet where we provide some free courses, or it could be like a calculator or something that they can actually, or it could be a free trial for SaaS businesses, for example. But the approach is very similar to the cold outreach, doesn't really need a special attention. A lot of times I get asked from people, what do we say, to these people, when they visit the website. And what I always recommend is you have to still treat it as a cold outreach. The only difference is where did you got those leads? So you didn't prospect them, you didn't go in a database and take a cold sample, right? But you actually go to your website, you identify who is coming there, and they didn't convert, and you just add them to the cold outreach campaign. There is no difference on how you send the cold outreach campaign. So this is why when you say about the ecosystem, if you already have something that runs like a cold outreach software, the best way is to integrate this identification part with the existing workflow that you already have.
Okay, interesting. So now I have another question. So let's say I have a classic landing with a call to action being book a call with us.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have, let's say, 100 views per day, but I have just a single call that is booked every single day, so 1%. How does it work? Like, how do you find these people to contact them?
So can you repeat a little bit the question so I can understand a little bit more? So you
Yes.
mentioned you have a landing page and people convert there.
Yeah, basically I have a landing, I have people coming, but they don't book calls, right?
Yeah.
What is the technology to find these people and making me allow me to contact them?
So you want to understand how the technology works behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into how the technology works. So we have a tracking pixel. We install this to the landing page, and this tracking pixel is using two different technologies. One is the older technology. We call it reverse IP lookup, and that essentially using the IP address to find
Okay.
the company behind, not the individual. And this usually works for when someone comes from Europe, for example, because in Europe you have GDPR and you cannot reveal the exact identity of the person. So what we do, we identify the company, and then we provide you with contact details based on your criteria. So at some point
Okay.
when you did the onboarding with us, when you fill up the form, you have to mention to us what is your ideal job titles in a company. So if you are in the B2B space, right? If you are in the B2C space, it's different. But if you are in the B2B space, you have to provide us and say, look, I'm looking for CEOs, I'm looking for CMOs, or whatever is that. And then we're doing a match to find those people in that company. And then we run email verification checks to make sure that they have a valid email, and we give you only the ones with a valid email. And now that is the IP reverse lookup technology. This is an older technology that we have, and we still integrate because it's still very valuable to countries like Europe, in Europe, for example, where we don't have the ability to identify the individual. But in US, things are a little bit different. We have a different technology there. This is called Publishers Network, and essentially is very, very simplistic way. We have a few websites with a very high website traffic, and those websites, they work like a trap. So you go there, you fill up a form, and what you do essentially is you exchange you exchange the rights for you to get identified with some free service. So we have all of these disclaimers in those websites where we mention, look, we're gonna use your identity check identification in different websites. Are you okay with us for getting this free stuff? So this usually can be like, okay, check your web router speed, for example, or it could be some, check how much your house worth. So all of these like lead magnets, calculators, or free tools that people sign up, they give away their email in a sense, and then we can use that using cookies to identify when the exact person moves to another website. So when they move from those free calculators to your website, because we have our script in both websites, we essentially triangle and can understand that this is the same person. And this is even better because from the other technology, because this works with 100% accuracy when reverse IP lookup is not 100% accurate. Sometimes, if you know about this technology, or if anybody in the audience know about this technology, a lot of times was inaccurate in the past. You were getting, like if you work, for example, from a WeWork space, then what happens is can identify the wrong company. Or if you are in the same household and your wife works in a different company, it can pick up the wife's company instead of yours. So there was a few mistakes, not a lot, but still a lot of mistakes there to make this technology look old, right? We are looking right now to expand beyond US to identify the individuals beyond US, but that is a huge move because it involves legal and then involves building partnerships with other providers, because we don't build the whole network ourselves. Like we are kind of renting the data, right? So we have partners with high website traffic, and they can kind of lending us those data so we can use. You never have the ability to build all of this network by yourself. So it takes a lot of challenges when we moving outside of US to go to other countries as well, and slowly we will start integrating more countries, and eventually the dream is to have a website identification working on the personal level with as many countries as possible in the world.
Interesting. Okay, so actually, it's pretty interesting for me. I'm interested in this. So let's say that I'm interested. I want to move forward. What can I expect? How many leads can I expect to get, like more every single month, let's say?
So this is all up to your website traffic. It's very difficult question. First of all, it depends on your website traffic, and quantity and quality. And then it depends on your conversion rate, right? So it's not gonna do magic to when you install it to give you more leads instantly. What it is going to do is going to identify them, qualify them, and engage with them. That's the promise. From there, it depends on which sector you are. There are different sectors that it works better, and some other sectors that doesn't work better, right? So I will just give you a very small example. There are specifically some IT resources that, when you receive an email from usually an IT recruitment company, it's the toughest one because there is a lot of them in the market. You get a lot of emails from the same people, and usually the value that you get is more or less the same. It's just that the price maybe is a little bit different, but and also it's very hard to identify who is better. There is no like a distinct um, proposition behind that, right? It's always the same. Like if I receive a recruitment email, I know it's exactly the same as anything else. So this is very difficult to break the noise, and Happierleads is going to identify them, will qualify them, and then will engage with them. But there is no guarantee that these people will actually reply back. Now, if you have something that is unique, it's like maybe you build like a SaaS new tool, right? It has a low barrier. Maybe it's using a trial or a freemium model, and it's also a good match. Then you have much better conversion. So it follows the same principles with cold outreach. Is going to work with if your cold outreach is working, it's going to work, better, right, than sending out of the blue to a lot of different random people. It's going to, if you go now targeted to the people only coming to your website, it's going to work maybe 10 times better than your cold outreach. But if your cold outreach never worked, Happierleads is not going to make your cold outreach to work, right? So you need to have these expectations of that your industry has these specific requirements. What I wanted to tell you, you mentioned about, okay, if you want to start right now. So we build the proposition in a way that has so low barrier for you, because when you sign up initially for a free trial, it takes 30 days to complete the trial, which is already very huge for SaaS businesses. After the 30-day free trial, it goes to freemium, so it goes free forever. We just give you less credits. And then what happens is we buy a domain for you, we buy a mailbox for you, we do the whole setup, and we start sending emails from the first or second day maximum. So once you sign up, you start getting the leads, and we start sending the emails in the next 24 hours. So there is no barrier there. So that's why everybody has to use it, because you try it, and if you see that I start getting replies now, then you can upgrade, right? So that's why the offer is so great.
Great. Yeah, amazing. It's really great. Like, sounds super simple, actually.
Yeah.
Great. So, George, how do you see the future of the company? What is next for you?
So we are looking to double down on what we are doing well right now. We are running email campaigns. We're using our own tool first of all. Then we're using email outreach, so we can go beyond the people coming to the website. Then we're using Google Ads that worked really well for us. And we are looking to double down to things that work really well and stop doing things that they don't, right? The other thing we are looking to improve is our internal processes. We are in the process of rebuilding a lot of the internal tools, because we have this AI fashion right now that we can build any tool we want without having to go and buy from a third party. Although a small parenthesis here, when the tool contains data, it's much more difficult to build yourself. Like Happierleads, for example, we have a lot of data. It's not just a tool. So it's very difficult to go and build your own Happierleads because you're missing the data, which is the most important part. But anything else that doesn't include data, is just software, we are trying now to build it in one master tool. I'm going to also expose more in my LinkedIn posts in the next few days on how I'm building this and why this is great. Because before we used to have a lot of productivity issues within the team. Like we used to have Intercom in a separate place, then we have HubSpot in a separate place. We have we have email, we have Slack where people, you can find them on Slack. Then you have Trello, where you see where your tasks are. It's very difficult to interconnect all these systems, plus monitor employees, what they do, all of this stuff, or, what is the effort of the team. So now we're building one tool that we're going to place everybody there. When a new person starts, we're going to have an onboarding within the tool itself that will boost our productivity even further, like improving all of these like internal tasks. I have the belief that will improve our outcome on how quickly we go back to customer support, for example, how quickly from a customer support we raise a bug that goes to our internal board, and how quickly the development team works on this, deploy the bug fix, and we continue this cycle. We need to take the feedback. We build a lot of we have a lot of ecosystem right now all over the place, and if we bring all of this in one place, I have the belief that we can improve and make 2-3 times. In the next year, we can double down our revenue at least, or even more.
Amazing. Well, George, thanks a lot for this podcast. If anyone is listening to this and wants to learn more about what you're doing, about your SaaS, how can they find you?
The best way is LinkedIn. I'm very active there, and I'm posting a lot of content right now. And the best way is LinkedIn, because I want to create this ecosystem with a lot of people replying on comments, and then I will also reply back. And I'm trying to build this founder-led content, and I think the best way people can reach me there, I can answer to any questions at any point.
Great, amazing. Thank you, George.
Thank you.